Okay, I accidentally... Okay, y'all, I'm starting over again. I accidentally stopped that video. This is part 2 of the experimental spaceship material. I accidentally stopped the other video. I might upload it. I don't know if I might upload it or not, but here, I'm starting to pull it out. The ends of it right here feels like plastic, looks like plastic, but it's really a glue. Feels like plastic, but it's a glue. Hard on the edges, soft to the touch. And when I started pulling out the cake pan, it's bending. And you saw how much glue I added, and this is concrete mixed in with it. The bottom of it feels cool. It's been inside the house under an air conditioner for a few days now. It's a tiny bit wet. Look at that. It's a tiny bit wet on the outside, on the bottom of it. Now, if I had left this outside in the sun without rain interfering with it, it would be totally dry right now. So my question is it bending because it's still wet on the inside? I don't know. It feels dry to the touch. It's soft, smooth. Well, it's not really smooth. Well, yeah, it's smooth. It feels like you can imagine how it would feel. But it's smooth. And let me see if I can put the camera down and get this out. Just kind of follow me, watch what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to set the phone on the corner of the step. All right, it's peeling away. Look at this. It looks sort of like concrete, but it's just different colors, very gray looking as it's coming out, but it's soft. Interesting. So I wonder if I could put that together with like a mesh screen, like a one of those screens you see like back in the day, like a screen door, metal screen, and infuse that with the material. That's what I thought about the other day, to make it so that it's really strong, and then shape it into the shape that I want to shape it in. Then you got this material, which should provide some very good acoustic insulation. As far as strength is concerned, well, we'll have to work on that. Have to figure out how thin or how thick it has to be, and other things to determine its strength. Okay, let me put the camera down again. I'm gonna try to get the rest of this out this time, and we'll see from here what it looks like. There's a piece that broke off. I'm just gonna go ahead and quit playing around and take it out. There are the pieces that broke off. All right, so I got it out. This is what it looks like. I'm holding it with my left hand. Look at that. So it's split down the middle. That's where I started to peel it at first on the end. It started to break. There's concrete and glue mixed together. That's what it looks like. It's almost like feels like a very dry putty. Very, very dry putty. That's what it feels like. But I'm thinking, what if, like I said, it's mixed with a wire mesh, like a wire screen, like you used to see on screen doors of your grandma's house back in the day? Mix that into it with layers, or just one layer, or one on top or one on bottom. It's splitting apart. I want to see what it's like on the inside. This is the bottom side of it, by the way. You've already seen the top. So I'm going to go ahead and let this split in half under its own weight. And you can see the little concrete crystals in there as it's splitting apart. I'm letting it split under its own weight. Now, I'm noticing that it's splitting halfway. And over here, it's split at a... You see it's as if it's going to split there, there, and if I handle it again, there again. You know how they put lines in concrete? I think they do that because the certain square feet of concrete, there has to be lines or has to be divisions, so it doesn't do this naturally, you know, throughout time. And I forgot exactly what that's all called. There's a certain name to it, but I understand what's happening here. So if I made a section of it with this thickness, I probably would have to make it in squares that's equal to where it splits, squared, for the most strength of it before it starts to split again. So I'm gonna let it split in half. And you know what? The top layer is stronger than the bottom. This is slightly wet and it feels more like concrete right here, but it's still soft. And I got this type of concrete that I already showed you in the other video what type of concrete it is. All right, it's totally, completely bent right now. So I'm guessing what I learned from this, with just that little bit of glue, let me try to show the other side. Oh, it's bending more, it's bending more. Of course, I have my fingers under it at this point. The top layer is like a strong skin that's holding the whole thing together. I got my fingers pressed up against the top side of it, which is now the underside because it's upside down, and my fingers have not broken through. I'll lay it down to show you. See, my fingers haven't broken through the other side at all. So the top layer is much stronger than the bottom layer. Bottom layer is breaking up. I don't know what I would do to get the glue to mix better besides use a blender, maybe. I thought about heating it up actually with a propane stove and getting the concentration to mix much better than it's mixing. But why is the camera out of focus? It's doing this. It's breaking up. All right, let's see how well it peels away. It's peeling away like concrete does. I mean, it doesn't feel hard. It's gritty. On the bottom, it's gritty, as to be expected. But when I get closer to the top layer, it's spongy right there. Look how it's spongy. So, I would say that this would need some more glue. Lots more glue. And I have a large container of glue. And I added just a little bit to get this to happen. So if I use more glue with this mixture and heat it up on a stove, stir it with a blender first to get it to mix really good, because I hand stirred it with a plastic spoon. Chances are the thick effect that I'm getting on the top, where my fingers have not even broken through, imagine having that completely all the way through, all the way to the bottom, where I can just take this whole thing and bend it, and it doesn't even break open like this at all. And then I can make it thinner and make it out of a material in squares that can be used to construct something and shape it the way I want to shape it. That's what I was hoping for. And in theory, the ultimate goal is to build a spaceship out of this stuff. Now, I know you're thinking, the glue. What about the glue? Yeah, what about the glue? What's that material that they add to fibers, to fabric, to make it not burn? I have to look that up, because I have no idea. And if I can't buy the material, I'll find out what type of natural material resists burning. I don't know. And that will be just simply to protect the glue from melting. But if the glue is infused with concrete, that heat will dissipate into the concrete. Am I correct? Yeah, it should. When it's this thick. But when it's thinner, what if I have the wire mesh mixed in with it? The wire screening, that's gonna be even more heat dissipation. throughout the whole entire thing, especially if I had the wire mesh. Let's say if it was cut into a square. Let's say this was cut into a square, made thinner, wire mesh, more glue, and then let that wire mesh stick outside of the square material that I'm making here, and let that be a heat sink so that the heat is transferred from one square mesh to another, so the whole thing cools. The heat is distributed. We've got concrete mix in there, the wire mesh, this material. You want to protect the glue from boiling, burning. I guess the ultimate experiment with burning part would be to put a blowtorch on it. But then again, I got to find out what materials are going to resist heat. Fiberglass. I bet fiberglass will. I'll have to find out. Because right now, the most natural material I got in it is concrete, which is going to resist heat, a lot of heat. So the glue would have to maintain a holding on it, put a wire mesh in it to dissipate the heat, and find a way to make the glue not burn. And then structure these things into building squares so that I can construct what I need to construct out of it. So no, there's no chance of this being resin any kind of way. I'm sure. Let's see. It's holding together. You know what? It's got a low frequency thud to it. Maybe that's the wood, the step I'm hitting on, but it sounds like a low frequency thud. It feels like a pad. This whole thing feels like a pad. Why is that important? Well, it shows the density. It shows the density of it by listening to how something rings when you bang on it, the resin frequency of it. So it's not very dense because it sounds like a pad. But imagine getting this thing so dense to the point that it rings when you knock on it with something. And I know the best way to do that is to put that inside of a cooker, like a kiln, what they call that thing used in high school to make pottery. But if you do that, will it mess up the glue? That's another thing. Don't want to get it too hot and destroy the glue, because the glue has to hold together. But see, the top surface is holding everything. It's not falling apart. My fingers didn't go through. Only the bottom of it kind of cracked open. I can still do it like this. It bends completely. And this is something to take note of, because we can learn from this. Cheap material, highly available. Just got to mix the glue in with it and do those other things that I mentioned. So that's about it. And I'll keep this for like future reference to look at it and just figure out. After I peel this up, it's more dry. So it's drying pretty fast. So the last little bit of the water is coming out now. Let me see if that flakes off pretty easily. And it's like a skin on the bottom, and it's very chunky inside. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just thinking about all kinds of other stuff. How would this handle speakers if you put speakers in it? Will the sound vibrations shake it loose? Will it disrupt it? Will it put lines in it like this? Will it break it loose? All kinds of stuff. Seems like the only thing that's really holding it together is the glue, of course, yes, but there's very little glue in this. Very little glue did all this. I'm gonna pull this apart and we're gonna look and see how it does when you pull it apart. This is the strength of this glue just by holding this edge right here. Let's see it. That's the strength of it. Wow. And that was just with a little bit of glue. And if I add lots more glue to that, it's holding the whole thing. Look, doing this to it, and it still hasn't broken apart yet. Comment below what you think about it. Thanks for watching Black Space Project North America.